Ekam karam Rudimira Taram Bhavasate Swayam Likyate Pratham Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Brahman Iti Sakha Atmarupena Bhakti Hridivisha Manasa Swam Chinvata Vajjata Chalanaro Atmanastu Tum Deham Pramaya Chedakam Aham Natasya Sthyato Nāpam Tattata Bhava Shukti Samaye Siddha Nasabha Kala Om Bhagavata Kutu Pratija Drashta Manishta Mano So Sputitaya Aruna Chala Shivaha Guru Vibhava Swayam Soham Sputitaya Aruna Chala Shivaha Guru Vibhava Swayam. Happy New Year to all of you. It is by the immense grace of the Supreme Being that we are able to gather in such satsangs and paraspara mutually seek the truth of the self, the truth of the Supreme Being, which is no different from the truth of the world and the truth of oneself, says the Acharya, Bhagavad Pada, Sri Shankaracharya Bhagavad Pada. In his compassion, Bhagavan says, he has written the Sri Dakshinamurthi Stotra. Sri Dakshinamurti being the avataram of Shiva, the avataram having taken place to bring the truth to the seekers, the Sanaka, the Munis, who are the Manasa Putras of Brahma, who come seeking the truth and who refuse to believe that Shiva along with Parvati, or Vishnu along with Lakshmi, or Brahma along with Saraswati, they are not capable of giving jnana. Bhagavan says, even he describes the legend of Sri Dakshinamurti, and Shiva, out of compassion, takes the form of the Yuva, the realized being, who by his maunam, the maunam of the Guru, quells the egos of the Sishyas, and as is the experience of many seekers in Bhagavan, when they would come to Ramanashram, many of them would report that they would get answers to their questions, but quite a few would also report that their questions vanished and there was only peace of mind for them. So, how exactly the Sanakadis got their realization? We have account after account of disciples coming to Bhagavan. Of course, mature ones, as the Sanakadis are described, who, instead of getting positive answers to their question, find the solution or find the dissolution of the question and the questioner into the ever-present Sri Dakshinamurti, the Atma Swarupam. Of course, this stotram, stuti, being the bhakti of the Saguna form of Sri Dakshinamurti, the praise always means that we worship the praised one, Sri Dakshinamurti, as the Ishvara, to whom everything belongs, is one mode, and who himself is everything, is another mode of bhakti. That everything belongs, all the mamakara belongs actually to the Ishvara. Everything, including the I and mind, everything is that Ishvara himself, is the other mode of bhakti. That stuti, usually any stuti would describe the greatness, the mahima, the omniscience of the one who is praised. But here, the Acharya, who has taken upon himself to bring the mauna to sadhana form, to point us to sadhana, he has to literally extract the essence of the Upanishads and place in 3 lines, and in the 4th line offer the obeisance to the Saguna form of Sri Dakshinamurti. So we find 10 verses. We directly go to the body of the work. The aim of this talk, if any, cannot be to delineate the whole content of Sri Dakshinamurti Stotram. If you see the Manasollasa commentary, the volumes in the Shankar Mat, there are 2 huge volumes, the Manasollasa commentary and the subsequent commentary on Manasollasa runs into 2 huge volumes, each more than 500 pages. And the intent of this sharing, this satsang in this new year, cannot be to lay bare the whole contents of Sri Dakshinamurti Stotram, but humbly an attempt to show that the sadhana pointed out in Sri Dakshinamurti Stotram is directly implemented, is directly practiced by the practice of Atma Vichara. Whatever the Acharya has tried to point out as the sadhana, as the path through Sri Dakshinamurti Stotram, the idea, the intent behind this talk is to show that self-inquiry, as pointed out by Bhagavan, especially in the work Ulladnarpade, is a direct mode of bringing the Acharya's teaching into practice. Now, before we go into the work, let us see the Nama, how the Nama is looked at. The Nama itself is Dakshinamurthi. The term Dakshina has 4 meanings in Sanskrit. We are going to take only 2 of them. The 2 other meanings we are not going into. The 2 meanings we take up are to point out to what is the Saguna Swarupa and how the Nirguna is pointed out in the very name. Sri Dakshinamurti, the Dakshinamurti Nama itself is both the Saguna Upasana and the Nirguna Upasana. While describing the Mangala Shloka of Ullad Narpadu, the Ullad Narpadu or the Saddarshanam is the work of Bhagavan pointing to the sadhana of self-inquiry. In that, the Mangala Shloka is about the Sadvastu, is about the Ulla Purul. Now, apparently, it is the Nirguna Swarupa, but then Bhagavan, in his teaching of Ullad Narpadu to Lakshman Sharma, who has written the commentary on it, has made Lakshman Sharma ji understand and share with us that as Ramana Maharshi is one who is abiding naturally in that mauna, in that sahaja sthiti of Atmaswarupa, the meditation and the practice of the teachings in Ullad Narpadu is indeed the direct upasana also of the Saguna Swarupam of Ramana as the Ishvara. So, here too, the work is both the blessings of the Saguna Swarupa is directly available to the devotee of this work, Sri Dakshinamurthi Stotram. At the same time, the 3 lines of the work in each of those 10 verses are the essence derived from Upanishads, and the meditation, the manana and nididhyasana are possible through those 3 lines. And before we go into the work itself, Dakshinamurti Stotram and Atma Vicharam, a pointer given by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi will be very helpful in the practice of Atma Vicharam and in understanding the Dakshinamurti Stotram. He says that Vedanta points out that the Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, the 3 realities, apparent realities, are all unreal, is stated by Vedanta, and that the Supreme One is the substratic reality for the 3. But this is not the experience for the Jiva. For the Jiva, the world is real and what we get from the world is real. So Bhagavan explains as to how we should take from the present experienced false reality and do the sadhana and realize the ever-present self or the reality of Sri Dakshinamurti. In explaining that, in a small paragraph, Bhagavan points to the essence of the matter that is involved in the sadhana of Atma Vicharam. He says that everyone, every jiva has this experience of the seen world and the seer himself. Every jiva has this experience of the drishya jagat and the drik, the seer, the jiva. He keeps the Ishvara aside for the moment because that may or may not be accepted as a belief by the sadhaka. Just these two are enough, the seer and the seen. Bhagavan says that everyone has this experience of the seer and the seen. Not only that, each one takes the seer and seen to be real. What does this seer and seen taken to be real mean? That means that the seer and seen are experienced by us in two states, in the waking and in the dream. And the seer and seen vanishes in deep sleep. The anubhava of seer and seen, nobody has that in deep sleep. Bhagavan points out that to be real, if something were to be real, let us say we have to get real happiness from our experience, then that experience itself should be real, isn't it? Unless that which exists or that which is experienced is real, how can the happiness that is extracted from that experience be real? It cannot be. So, Bhagavan takes us through this investigation. He says that everybody experiences the seer and the seen world, and if this were to be real, then it should be present in the waking, dream, and deep sleep. But is that our experience? We take the seer and the seen to be real because we are so lopsided. We are so lopsided that we take that whatever happens in the waking state is the be all and end all. That we are going to, the waking state experiences appear so solid that we take that all the final happiness or final experience we are going to get only in this state, and all the happenings in that state, as the division as seer and seen, there alone we keenly look. We anyway don't explore the dream, because as soon as it goes, we know it is unreal. And deep sleep, so far as it gives a good rest, then that is dropped too. Again, the software is loaded on with the waking state. The Nanda Kumar feeling is there, and I am immediately related to everyone, and I run throughout the day to see that something is gathered, and I become a better Nanda Kumar, happier Nanda Kumar at the end of the day. With all the wranglings, go to sleep, where the seer seen experience is gone. And Bhagavan says, this is the root of the problem, that our lopsided search takes only one area of existence called waking state, and feels that since things are visible here, this alone is the place where truth is to be got. But then, if the seer and seen experience is real, it should be present not only in the dream, as it is in some other form, but it should also be present in the deep sleep. Is it present? No. Therefore, both the seer, the jiva, as well as the seen world are unreal. Whatever happiness you are going to get, whatever consciousness you have, whatever existence you have, which is reduced to only this state of seer and seen, is going to be only unreal. Unreal happiness, unreal existence, unreal consciousness. Because the state itself is unreal. It is present during waking and dream, and absent during deep sleep. Now, where is the key point of that Bhagavan brings? Bhagavan reduces the three to two. Now, what can the jiva do about waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, which is a state in which so many organisms, so many jivas seem to be involved? Now, what can I as an individual do with that as sadhana? So the guru, the upadesha itself meaning bringing that which appears very far, bringing it very near. The guru says, what is common between waking and dream? The mind is common. So the seer and seen experience arises along with the rise of the mind and sets along with the setting of the mind. That means from an exploration, an examination of waking, dream, and deep sleep, the guru brings the enquiry very near. He says that only when your mind arises, the waking and dream seer seen experience is there, and when the mind sets, the seer seen experience quells. Therefore, where should we look for reality? That which is the sadvastu, from which the mind arises and into which the mind sets, that alone is reality, says Bhagavan. What is the mauna of Dakshinamurti Swami? What is the mauna that brought the silence to the Sanakadis? That is the sadvastu. That mauna is another name for the sadvastu. Where to look for the sadvastu? That from which the mind arises. Therefore, possibly trapping the sadhaka into the waking state or dream state, and into which the mind subsides. How to track the rising and subsidence of the mind? That is where self-inquiry is given. So let us hold on to this part of self-inquiry when we are inquiring into Dakshinamurti Stotram. What is the self-inquiry? The self-inquiry is, as soon as a thought arises, understand clearly that if you try to complete the thought, you will be struck either in the dream state as an imaginary set of thoughts or in the waking state, which is the sensory experience. Therefore, you will be trapped in that. So the Upadesha from Bhagavan is, whenever a thought arises, do not try to complete that thought. Inquire, for whom is this thought? The answer will always come. The I thought has arisen from the Sadvastu, that is why the other thoughts are arising. So when you ask the who am I, the truth of the I or the source of the I is taken. And there is a stillness, which is the presence of the Sadvastu. We understand practically that the solution is not in the timeline. The solution to our problems in the waking state is not by having a better tomorrow or a better mind later or a better self at a later date, but taking the I thought and all the thoughts to the source where the Sadvastu, where the Mauna of Dakshinamurti Swami is ever present, always waiting for the sadhaka to return from the false journey. This is the introduction we need to have to self-inquiry, and in that backdrop, understand a few concepts in Dakshinamurti Stotram. As with Mandukya Upanishad, my own Sambandha, my own introduction to Dakshinamurti Stotram was some years back, about 12-15 years back, where a couple used to come to learn Dakshinamurti Stotram right here. And we went through the Stotram. And this is a part of the Bhagavan's Parayana. In Tamil Parayana, Dakshinamurti Stotram is chanted every Friday. This is one of the works translated by Bhagavan into Tamil. So this is part of the Friday Parayana in the Ramanashram, where the Adi Shankara's work translated by Bhagavan, which begins with Dakshinamurti Stotram, Atma Bodham, Hastamalakam, Guru Stuti. All these are done Parayanam. Later on, we will see in the Falasruti, we may not be able to go up to that, but in the Falasruti, the last one, the 10th verse, we are going to find that the mere Parayanam of Dakshinamurti Stotra is itself going to take us to the Maunam of the Adi Guru Dakshinamurti Swami. How can the Parayanam of a work take us to the source? How can that simple path of bhakti, how can it take us to that source? It can, because in Bhagavan's life, the whatever work has come from him, like Aksharamanammalai, Upadeshasaram, Saddarshanam, we have not had the bhagyam of sitting at the feet of Adi Shankara. But we have account after account of Bhagavan who has lived up to 1950, where we find that Bhagavan literally says that he has no impulse to do any of these works. Only at the instance of request of Muruganar, many of the works have come. And in explaining to us how Aksharamanamale came, he says one day while doing Girivalam, the words were automatically coming and were refusing to go in. into the silence. Therefore, he allowed those words to come out and be recorded. So, all the works of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, which have been presented through collected works, we see have come literally from the Supreme Being, the source. Therefore, the parayana of that work is to be in touch with the mental form of the Guru, the Sukshma Swarupa of Guru. That's why Bhagavan says, even after the Stula form of Bhagavan has been absorbed into the Supreme Being in April 1950, the Guru is available. The Guru's contact is very much available. And in fact, he says the mental contact is far better than sensory bodily contact. And what is this mental contact? To do simple parayanam of Bhagavan's original works is mental contact. And I have seen case after case today where those who are doing parayana automatically come to dhyana and vichara, automatically come to better understanding of bhakti marga. Just hold the Guru Swarupa in the nature of that, because it has come from the very breath of that pure being. And so is the case with Dakshinamurthi Stotra. The Parayanam of this, which can be done every day at home, the Parayanam of Dakshinamurthi Stotram, that will make clear all the way up to Maunam it can take. Because by doing Parayanam, the Jiva falls as it is in Swarupa, is in contact with the Simha Swarupa of the Guru, which is going to wake up the Jiva from this slumber, from this Maya, the sleep of Maya, which is what is mentioned in the first verse. In the first verse, Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyan Atmani Mayaya Bahirvodbhutam Yata Nidraya Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanam Evadvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namayidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. With the total humble pranams to Dakshinamurti Swami, which will be repeated in every verse as the fourth line. The first three lines are presented as the essence of Vedanta. And Bhagavan gives us a clue as to how we can look at the whole work. In the 1940s, Suri Nagama notes in letters from Ramanashramam, that Bhagavan says the first three verses of Dakshinamurti Swami Stotram are about the Vishwam, about the world. The next 3, 4, 5, 6 of Dakshinamurti Stotram are about the Jiva. And 7, 8, 9, they are about the Ishvara, or the light that reveals everything. And the 10th shloka is the Falashruti. What will be the blessing that one can receive, including Ishwaratva, including Ashtamaha Siddhis, but even beyond all this, Swatma, the Sarvatma Tattvam, that everything is the self, is the primary blessing of this work. That if there is nothing that is non-self. Sarvatma Tattvam is where the verse is taking us. The Mauna, the self, the Sarvatma Tattvam, all indicate the same thing. That is the phalam. And somebody asks Bhagavan, will I get the Ashtamaha Siddhis if I meditate on Dakshinamurti Stotram? And Bhagavan says, first go up to Ishwaratva. It is said that Ishwaratva itself will be given to you and Sarvatmatvam will be given. You go up to that and then you see what exactly is meant by the Ashtamaha Siddhis. You will know directly, he says. So it is not for us to seek the Ashtamaha Siddhis here, which Bhagavan says are all swapnavat. They are as though they are Siddhis got in the swapna, because they require the mind, which we saw is unreal, the mind being not present in deep sleep. So let us take the first three verses, which are about the world, we'll try to look at the main pointers in the verse and see how Atma Vicharam is the direct practice of what is pointed out in the verse. As I said, the waking, dream, and deep sleep state are going to be the Adhara. So you will find that the three verses are laid out in that format: waking, dream, deep sleep. Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam. As far as the sensory world is concerned, treat it like the images reflected on a mirror. Bhagavan would say, if the Acharya were to be present today, he would have taken the example of the cinema shown on the cinema screen instead of Darpana Drishyam. That the world is Darpana Drishyam, unreal. What is real there? The mirror is the reality. The screen is the reality. The images, the Nama and Rupa are unreal there. Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam. Where is it? It is inside. Pashyam Atmani Mayaya Bahirivodbhutam Yata Nidraya. As the dream appears to be on the outside. Now, if you examine the dream, what happens in the dream? In the dream, you identify with one of the characters in the dream. The whole dream is obviously made of Son Chaitanya. Whoever that one may be, our dream is made of ourselves only, our chit. All the characters in the dream are made of ourselves only. Now, what we do is, we inside that dream, we identify with one of those characters, go into that character, and experience the dream as though happening outside of us. That the tigers chases, the happy foods are available, the shastras are available. Sometimes the guru also appears in the dream, and the shastras, the guru, and the sadhana, they are said to be the Swapna Simhavat, the Simha appearing in the dream to awaken us. What all? The Guru Swarupa, the Shastras, and the Sadhana, they have some meaning even in the dream because they help us to awaken from the dream, is what is said in Vedanta. But then, what is the Vishwam? The Vishwam is mere image, like the image of a city present inside a darpana, inside a mirror. So don't follow the stula. Understand that the entire stula experience of the waking state, the stula world, is merely like an image in a mirror. In fact, not even that. It is like the dream which happens in a sleep. What is the sleep present here? The sleep is not the sleep we get during the cycle of waking, dream, deep sleep. The sleep here is self-ignorance. The self-ignorance is the deeper sleep. It is the sleep to be inquired into. Because the self-ignorance is the sleep in which the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep, they occur cyclically. The moment self-ignorance is gone, one is awakened from self-ignorance. That is Prabodha Samaya. The Prabodha Samaya referred to here is not the clock going off at 4:30 or 5 o'clock and getting up. That is not the Prabodha Samaya. The Prabodha Samaya is the waking up from self-ignorance. There, one identifies oneself with the Dakshinamurthi Swami who is ever present. Yasakshat Purute Prabodha Samaye. Swatmana Mevadvayam. What happens in the Prabodha Samaye? One realizes this, that it is all Sarvatmatvam. It is all the self only. That is the experience. Prabodha Samaye Swatmana Mevadvayam. Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. This is what exactly we practice in Atma Vichara. That we treat the waking state objects as a dream. Bhagavan says, when you look at them as thoughts, you are treating the sensory world as a dream. And what we do with the dream? We inquire it out of existence. When the dream appears as thoughts, whether the thought may be related to waking state objects or dream state objects, let's for the moment take the dream state as the mental mentations that we have, the connections we get during the contemplations. Both are wiped out by asking for whom is this thought. So what we do in self-inquiry, we deliberately we reject the limited waking state, we reject the limited dream state, we deliberately bring the anticipated deep sleep state here itself, because we vanquish the thought. We realize even without the thought, we exist. In fact, independent of the waking, dream, and deep sleep, our existence is there. And even in sadhana, this can be realized because it is called as ananya bhakti. Bhava balatina bhava shunya sadbhava sustiti. Bhavana bala bhakti ruttama. That is with the bhava bala only. With the effort maker still being there, what we are doing, we are looking at the waking state, sensory world as actually essentially mind-based or thought-based. So the thought is both the source for waking state and dream state. Therefore, when thought arises, we don't want to go and get trapped there. We inquire for whom is this thought. The I comes. That means we vanquish the thought. When the thought is erased, the non-presence of thought, that is deep sleep, is brought consciously here. Even in deep sleep, we are not going to get into laya of going and sleeping off there, but we are going to have the jagrata, that only in self-forgetfulness, these three objective states are there. Therefore, what am I going to do? I am going to ask, for whom is this blank? For whom is this thought? It is for me. That who am I? Even in sadhana avastha, it will reveal to us that we have reached the Sishya Mauna. Bhagavan says there are two types of Mauna. The Guru's Mauna is the form of grace. The Sishya's Mauna is the best humility which will allow the grace of Guru to come and completely touch the silence of the Sishya. Bhagavan would say to those who are coming to the ashram, the best thing you can do to draw grace here is to be still as much as possible, to the best extent possible. So even when we start to attempt to make the inquiry into who am I, we become eligible to be in touch with the Mauna of the Adi Guru, Dakshinamurthi Swami. How do we get there? Because Bhagavan gives us a clue that he says, himself being a Mauna Guru, says from where do these Mauna Gurus come? These Mauna Gurus, he says, are not biological entities. They are having their source directly in the Mauna, directly in the Atma Swarupa. So this is like the plantain leaving the shoots. The Mauna Gurus, Adi Shankara, Dakshinamurthi Swami, Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, Gaudapadar, all these Mauna Gurus, from where do they have their source? They have their source in Mauna. They have their source in Atma Swarupa. They directly originate, they are the Swarupa of Mauna itself. Therefore, the Sishya who comes in front is totally blessed with the grace of the Mauna of Dakshinamurthi Swami himself. So the practice of Atma Vicharam, it brings us to Prabodha Samaya. The Prabodha Samaya may initially be with the alarm clock and other things. We ask somebody, hey, wake me up, like that. So it may be with effort. But with effort, when we repeatedly go to that Mauna, then at one point, by Guru's grace, the effort is no more required, and one is able to say that now Dakshinamurthi Swami, in his Nirguna Swarupa, in his Purna Swarupa, has absorbed. There is only oneness. There is only the Atma Swarupa. There is only the Mauna of the Adi Guru. But then let us take the next verse, which is also on Vishwam. Suppose somebody says, I am not able to go directly. I am not able to even fathom when you say this world is merely an image in the mirror. It appears that it has come 14 billion years ago, and I am a guy who is born in 1962. No, how can you come and say that it is only a darpana drishyam? So, out of compassion, the Guru goes to the next explanation. Okay, you are not able to understand that it is merely an image of name and forms. Let me point this out to you. Bijasyantarivam puro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha maya kalpita deshakala kalana vaichitya chitrikritam mayaviva vijrumpayat yapi mahayogi va yasvechaya Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namayidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. From waking state, what is the world in waking state? He has come to world in dream because Bijasyantarivam Puro Jagadidam Prang Nirvikalpam Punaha Maya. Where can the self-forgetfulness first start its play? It starts its play in the mind. And in the mind itself, because of the Maya, what it does? Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitre chitrikrita. That the Maya Shakti of self-forgetfulness, which is under the control of Ishvara, the Dakshinamurthi Swami, he mixes up all that with the Nama and Rupa, and then that which is Bijasyantarivankuro, like the entire tree being present within the seed, this entire creation is present within the mind and is pratibhasika, is projected by that one Shakti. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye. Now, when you go back to that one Shakti, this world from its unreal projection will go and silently merge in that supreme Mauna of Dakshinamurti Swami. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namayidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. Bijasyam Karivankuro Jagadidam Prang Nirvikalpam Punaha Maya Kalpita Deshakala Kalana Vaichitri Chitrikritam Mayaviva Vijrumbaya Yapi Mahayogiva Yasvechaya. There are two modes given to Ishvara there. That he acts like a Mayavi or a magician and is making us all subject, as Sri Krishna says that I am spinning all of you in this chakra of creation. But he is also the Mahayogi. Mahayogi was Swechaya. Out of his own Svecha, he has created the whole creation. So when we surrender to him, he can relieve us from this Maya. Because he is the Mahayogi. He is the one who is ever aware of himself. Without losing awareness of himself, he has done Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. Like how in the seed, the whole creation was present, then it is projected through the mind and into the waking state, and it is absorbed into the deep sleep state. But all this waking, dream and deep sleep, creation, maintenance and destruction are all only appearance in that Mauna Swarupa, in that self alone, which is Dakshinamurti Swami. We can actually see how this whole process of projection happens when we go in the reverse flow chart of Atmavicharam. In Atmavicharam, what Bhagavan says, go back the way you came. And in Ulladhanarpadu, there are verses 8 to 22, which indicate what happens in this Maya Kalpita Deshakala Kalana Vaichitri Chitrikritam. How is this painting of Deshakala Kalana is done? You can actually see, Bhagavan says, because when we do self-inquiry, there will be thoughts of Desham and Kalam. There will be thoughts of time and space. When you feel that you are in Bangalore and you are not in a place of pilgrimage, some place, let us say we like some other place, and we find that we are stuck here in Bangalore. Bhagavan says, if you inquire for whom is this thought of space and time, the answer will be the thought is for me. When you ask who am I, you realize that the self-attentive I doesn't need the support of time and space. The self-attentive I, which has crossed the Maya, the Deshakala is created by Maya. Maya kalpita. What is Maya? Maya is self-forgetfulness. What is self-inquiry? We cross the Maya and come to the stillness of the self directly. Though with the Jiva Shakti only, we still the I, and in that still I, there is realization that we are real. The still I is real. Still I is real. The time and space are changing. They are present only in waking and dream. Therefore, they are unreal. My self-attention is real. The way to come out of Deshakala Kalana is to hold who am I? Still the I. That is the source of the mind, isn't it? Go back to what we discussed earlier. Bhagavan saying that at the source of the mind, you will get the Sadvastu. Still the I. And there we understand that the Desham and Kalam are appearances in the waking and dream and are unreal in deep sleep, whereas self-attention is beyond waking, dream and deep sleep. This is Sri Dakshinamurthi Swami's Mauna. At the present moment, it may be a Sishya's Mauna, but then that Guru's Mauna is the Adhara. Without that Guru's Mauna, we cannot do Atma Vichara. The Atma Vichara itself is possible, or for that matter, any sadhana. The simple act of speaking truth is not possible unless this Purana of Ishvara is there. This Purana of Ishvara, the Aham Spurana of Ishvara, has both the outward and inward self-containedly. Whenever we are seeking the objects in the waking state, the objects in the thought world, we are going with the outward push of the Ishvara. And when by Guru Kripa, we start the sadhanas, the ethical behavior, the dhyana, the japa, the tapa, the atma vichara. By Guru Kripa, what we have done, we have aligned ourselves with the inward pull of that spurana. The same spurana as I. When we are seeking outward objects, we are with the outward movement pushed by the Guru, by that spurana. But then by the grace, we understand that that is not the direction and turn inward. By Guru Kripa, we are aligning ourselves with the ever-present pull of Ishvara. And that Ishvara Swarupa, which takes us to his own self, will make us realize that this is the Mauna of Sri Dakshinamurthi Swami, which is the Adhara for my sadhana, all the way from simple speaking of truth to all spiritual practices, which essentially mean turning inward, is possible because the Ishvara is present as this Purana. And that is what is mentioned in the next verse. Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam Asat Kalpartakam Bhasate Sakshat Tattvamasiti Vedavachasa Yo Bodhayat Ashritan Yes Sakshat Karanat Bhavena Punaravrittir Bhavam Bhonidav Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Yasyaiva Spuranam. In the deep sleep of the world, in the pralaya of the world, in the pralaya sthiti of the world, the deep sleep for the jiva is the pralaya for the world. In the pralaya for the world also, the spuranam continues. The spuranam of the Ishvara continues. And that is what you can feel in Atma Vicharam. When you drop the thoughts, the spurana will start becoming visible. That is the spurana present even in the pralaya kal. Somebody asks Bhagavan, does Vishnu have Kailasa as Vaikunta as a loka and Shiva has Kailasha as a loka, and are they real? Are they existing? Bhagavan says, so far as you have this body and you identify with it, they are also real. Then the next question, The questioner, from what intent he asks, we are not able to assess from the paper, but he asks, are they subject to pralaya? Are Vishnu and Shiva subject to pralaya? And Bhagavan's answer is, we are saying that you, as the jiva that you are, can practice sadhana, can practice atma vicharam, and go beyond pralaya. They are infinitely wiser than you. Why should they be subject to pralaya? That is the answer of Bhagavan. So here, yasyaiva spuranam sadatmakam asat kalpartakam bhasate. The asat kalpartakam are all present in the pralaya sthiti as the vasanas, and they are all existing. They all come out as the creation only because the Spurana of the Ishvara, Spurana of Dakshinamurthi Swami lends them Sat Chit. The Sat and Chit are present as Spurana in the creation, maintenance. The maintenance, if you ask scientists, they will say the creation is maintained by the laws. By the laws, and where the laws are present, there is a discussion of scientists called Stephen Hawking, Carl Sagan. In the YouTube, it's still available. They say these laws are the mind of God. Those laws by which the waking state is determined is all the mind of God. So the mind of God and the waking state is all lit up with this Purana that is present even in Pralaya Kala. And the Guru Murti, who has crossed the Pralaya Kala, what does he give Upadesham as? He gives Upadesham as yes sakshat kurute, yes sakshat tattvamasi veda vachasa yobodaya ashritan. Whoever surrenders to the one who is abiding in that Purana, the Upadesham is, since such a one does not see any other, there is only this Purana, the truth of this Purana, the Upadesham that will be given, Yobodaya Ashrita. The only condition put is, you have to approach the Guru. To those who are approaching the Guru, he will give the Upadesham, Tat Tvam Asi. You are that Spurana. You are that truth. You imagine yourself to be a body caught up in this waking state. Even in Pralaya, your existence, though it cannot be with this body, it is present as this Puranam, as the Maunam. Therefore, that alone you are. Catch hold of that reality right now will be the Upadesham of such a one. Sakshat Tattvamasi Veda Vachasa. That is having the Adhara of the Vedas. It is not just like that told. The Veda Vachasa Adhara Tattvamasi Bodhana is given to those who surrender. Yasakshat Karanat Bhavenna Punar Avrittir Bhavam Bhonidam. What happens to such ones who have crossed the Pralaya, and are holding on to only this Purana of Dakshinamurti? For them, there is no more birth into any of the Sukshma forms or any of the Sthula forms. So, the whole of the creation, this samsara sagara, is crossed by such ones who takes the surrender, the feet of Dakshinamurti Swami, and from his Maunam, he gives only the Upadesham. You are that truth. And such a one is Bhagavan, who would ask those who ask him, I am in such and such trouble. What is the doubt? This particular doubt is not solvable for the last 15 years. Then Bhagavan would ask, was this trouble present in deep sleep? Was this doubt present in deep sleep? But you were there. Therefore, ask for whom is this doubt, for whom is this trouble, and directly hold the eye. And one hint Bhagavan gives through instructions in spiritual instructions through the Swami Natanananda Swami, where Natanananda Swami asks, you are asking us to still the I thought. You are asking us to still this. This appears to be laziness. This appears to be indolence, is it not? And Ramana says it is not indolence. The stilling of the eye requires the whole of the mind, and the whole of the mind has to be applied without any gap, without any interval. Whereas all other secular practices, secular works, they involve part of the mind and are done with frequent breaks. Therefore, this self-enquiry or stilling of the eye is mulu muyarchi. He says that it is complete effort. It is fullness of effort. And by this fullness of effort, the jiva, which was associated with the body and the small collection of thoughts, he is able to break maya. He says, maya, which is not breakable by any other sadhana, is possible of defeat if you hold the yasyaiva spuranam. That spurana of the Dakshinamurthi Swami, which is present even in Pralaya Kala, which is the deep sleep for the world, when you hold that directly, that is actually the Mulu Muyarchi. There is no greater effort that the Jiva can make that will dismantle all your problems which are Maya caused, is what Bhagavan gives us Upadesham. And thus we cross the 3 verses on world with the help of self-inquiry. The next 3 verses are about the Jiva Bhava, where Bhakti and Jnana come together. Before we go into the verses, a small anecdote which we were reading this morning in the Fragrant Petals, which is an anthology of writings on Bhagwan by some serious devotees who have followed him. One of the writers is a lady from Scotland, Rosalind, and she writes about her experiences that she comes from a place which is by the sea with a lot of relics from prehistoric ages. And she has a desire to be an archaeologist. But then one day she dreams, and in that dream, there is some red cloth and some indications which come as the lighthouses in the dark light of Scotland, in the dark night of Scotland, how the lighthouses will send light. Like that, some light was coming to her in her dream. And she did not make much of that. And about a year or so from there, she gets 2 books on Ramana Maharshi written by Arthur Osborne. And she almost takes Arthur Osborne. From her writings only we can glean. She takes him to be her guru. And Arthur Osborne is representing Jnana Marga. He writes that Bhagavan, he doesn't allow people to get into miseries, and he doesn't allow people to talk about miseries, but he goes to the very root of miseries, which are the thoughts, and asks them to not have any desires and eliminate thought directly. The main import being the desires are the root cause of misery. Therefore, Bhagavan eliminates misery by eliminating thoughts and desires, was the writing by the guru whom she had taken. But see how she presents that itself in bhakti form. She says that Arthur Osborne himself, in his youth, he has expressed a liking for writing poems. And she says in his later years, he became the managing editor of the Mountain Path. And he has written lots of poems in Bhagavan's teachings, Buddhism, and other things. So his wish was fulfilled. Not desire was cancelled out. His desire that was there even before he came to Bhagavan, apparently, that was fulfilled. It was not destroyed, she writes. And she says, I myself became a good archaeologist, not of the relics and their age, but what those relics mean and what the old stories of Scotland, our traditional stories, what they mean. I started understanding. I started becoming an archaeologist of spirit. That means in Jnana Marga, what is said to be removed and destroyed, in Bhakti Marga, it is seen as fulfillment. And the sadhaka should have both understandings. That the Mauna of Dakshinamurti is not the mere burning down of everything. It is the fullness of everything. It is fullness of the Nama and Rupa. And that love and that fullness and that joy and that bliss should never be lost sight of in merely coming to intellectual dry blindness. And that will be made clear in these verses for sadhana to the jiva. These next three verses are sadhana for the jiva. We'll probably able to see one or two of them and we will stop there. Nana Chitra Gadodara Sthita Mahadipa Prabhabhaswaram Jnana Yasyatu Chakshuradhikarana Dwara Bahispandate Janamiti Tameva Bhantam Anubhatya Etat Samastam Jagat Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Nana Chitra Gadodara Sthita Mahadipa Prabhabhaswaram. The Jiva in the waking state. Take it as you are the Mahadipa present inside one pot with many holes. What the Guru is saying, don't think that there are many parts. In the waking state, don't think that there are many parts. There is only one part. And what is there inside? It is Mahadipa. It is not that small Deepa which cannot even come out of the pot. It is the Mahadeepa in the sense that one understands that all the other jivas are also thoughts for my I thought. All the other jivas are also thoughts for my I thought. And that Deepa, which is the one I thought, it enlightens the other thoughts and comes through the senses and senses the world. Now, basically, there are two types of chit in Vedanta. One is the revelatory chit and another is the knowing chit. Now, in our relationship, I am the revelatory chit. I am using the chit to reveal myself through speech. Whereas you are using the more subtle chit, which is the knowing chit, to listen. Who has unless one is naturally abiding in the self, it is suggested that listening is an easier mode to be self-attentive than the gross form of speaking. But when one starts naturally abiding in the self, there is no difference between speaking and listening. Bhagavan would say that this Puranam would be going on like a fundamental Shruti note even when the body was speaking or doing other activity. So this Puranam, the Maunam of Dakshinamurthi Swami, should be realized to be our very nature. That is Sahaja Samadhi. Just because the body is speaking, the Puranam doesn't go anywhere. It becomes our natural state. Now, the understanding here is that the Jiva is Dakshinamurthi Swami, but what kind of Jiva? The Jiva who has understood that it is me who is lighting up the objects of the world. The objects of the world do not say we exist. Bhagavan will come to Bhagavan and say, all these people in the waking state, they come and show to me that even when I was sleeping, they were all awake. Bhagavan, you are saying that when I go to sleep, there is no world. But then those who were awake, they come and give me proof that the world was existing even when I slept. Does it not show that the world survives my sleep? Bhagavan retorts by asking, did they come in your sleep and tell you that? Or did you have to first wake up and then get their witness? He obviously says, I had to wake up to get their witness. And Bhagavan says, such a witness which requires your own waking cannot be a witness to your deep sleep state. You will have to find out what happens in deep sleep by going to self-inquiry, making the waking state into dream as thoughts, removing the thoughts, still the objective space becomes blank, but you are still there. So you have a direct perception of what is there in deep sleep. by doing practice of Atma Vicharam, you don't need to just think I slept and I am happy, but you can have a direct experience. Even in that blank, Bhagavan says, you inquire for whom is this blank. Nana Chitra Gadodarastita Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram Jnanam Yasyatu Chakshuradhikarana Dwara Bahispandate. It is me, the one light, who goes through this Chakshuradhikarana and then say that the world exists. And in the waking state, if I move from point A to point B, I am a happy person. But what did we find? The whole waking state itself and the dream state itself and the deep sleep state itself, they are unreal because they make the unreality of each other. When deep sleep is there, dream and waking become unreal. And such is the case when we are trapped in the other two situations also. So therefore, the inquiry is the jiva has to understand that it is me who is first seeing the other jivas from within me only, going through the senses and saying this world is there, and then getting trapped in the waking state. But when I ask who am I withdraw from the waking state. I understand that I am one with the ever-present Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram. I am the one who says Janamiti. It is I who say that I know. Janamiti Tameva Bhantam. Therefore, when I come to this Purana of I understand, I forsake this source of mine. I forsake Dakshinamurthi Swami and belittle myself by going through the Chakshuradhikarana and feel I am trapped in the waking state. Therefore, the Upadesham is go back the way you came and you will be one with the ever-present Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, ever-present Dakshinamurti Swami as that Spuranam, as the I. Initially with effort, but by the ever-present grace, which is another name for the self, one abides in that Sadvastu. One realizes that I cannot be apart from the Sadvastu. The Upadesham given by Adi Shankara is Tattvamasi. The moment I realize that Upadesham, that I cannot be anything other than the Sadvastu, Bhagavan says, one should immediately start, who am I? That the bold ones would immediately start, who am I? Because the Guru has said, you are that, you are the truth. So immediately start the who am I, pursue it till one is merged in the Maunam, the ever-present reality of Dakshinamurti Swami. Dakshinamurti Swami is not someone who appeared as an avatara some years ago and brought the Mauna to the Sanakadis. Dakshinamurti Swami is the ever-present Spuranam of the Ishvara inside us. And it is our own nature. It is our own wealth. It is our own existence with which we have to identify. And it is the same Mauna which has appeared as Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi and given us the great Brahmastram of Atma Vichar. Meditating on Dakshinamurthi Stotra, practicing Atma Vicharam, as was the blessing of Vaniji at the beginning of the satsang. We are bound to find that oneness with the Atma Swarupam, the Atma Nishta is bound to happen because the grace can never fail. Dakshinamurti Swami's Anugraha is always there. Only with his Anugraha we can meditate on his verse. Do Parayana, do Dhyanam. Whenever possible, meditate on what the Adi Shankara has tried to tell us and practice Atma Vicharam. There is no way that the Satyam can fail. Satyameva Jayate. That one's reality is searched for, abided in, and merged into. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramaya. Namo.